Thank you, Coach Jon Terronez, for joining us. Jon is the head wrestling coach at Assumption High School in Davenport. Jon wrestled at Moline High School and Buena Vista University under Coach Mark Schwab. When joining the coaching ranks, he's been an assistant at Moline High School, Assumption High School, and now he is, like I said, he's the head coach at Assumption. Mm-hmm. Awesome to have you chat with us tonight, Jon. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, guys.
On board.
So I guess the first question is sort of an obvious one. How are you getting through all the craziness going on in the world today?
Well, I am an essential employee, so I've been working still. So out there helping people with their roofs and siding and make sure everybody's good out there in their home sector. So I've been busy working. I moved from the great city of Davenport to the greater city of Davenport, so I've been moving and getting stuff ready at the new house, and so it's kept me pretty busy, man, and just trying to keep my distance from everybody, doing the social distancing and all that other stuff. So enjoying myself a little bit on the area of just being outside a little bit, and just trying to follow up and keep everybody safe and try to learn as much as I can about what's going on in the world today.
Yep. So, hey, Jon, how did you get your start in wrestling, and when did you start wrestling?
I started wrestling when I was 4 years old. My dad ran the Moline Wrestling Club from late 80s until the early 2000s, and he coached also middle school, and so I was that little guy that tagged along everywhere, so I was around every practice, every junior high practice, even high school practices, and so I was 4 years old when I finally got my first match, and I got put on my back about 30 times, but my brothers used to hold me down and say ding ding ding, and I had to fight off my back, so I didn't get pinned. So yeah, that's how I got started. And, I just wanted to be around my dad, who was coaching, and he was traveling everywhere. And I just kind of wanted to be a part of it because my older brothers were, and I always heard stories. So I started when I was old, and ever since then.
Yeah, awesome. So who are some of the wrestlers that were your role models or influenced your style growing up?
First and foremost would be, my brother, Stuart. Obviously everybody looks up to their older brothers. I definitely looked up to him and his style. Also a guy that my dad coached and who became very successful, Matt Lackey. I remember him loaning me his singlet when I was probably 6 or 7. It was a Illinois singlet that had Abe Lincoln on the rear, and I thought it was the coolest thing. And I spent a lot of time at their house growing up there when I was young, and I wanted to emulate everything he did. He was phenomenal. It was awesome to have that relationship with him and watch him, build into the wrestler he was. So he was definitely a big role model in that, as well as having my dad as a coach was pretty cool. So.
That's wild. That's wild. And I always, my father-in-law always tells me, if you're a Terronez, either you're a wrestler or a boxer. One of the two, you got to fit the bill.
That's exactly right. My grandfather was Golden Gloves in Chicago and Peoria. My dad and all my uncles boxed. My dad was the first wrestler in his family. I tried boxing after wrestling, and I had a hard time because every time I wanted to shoot on the legs. So I kind of determined that I'm gonna stick to wrestling, and plus I don't like getting hit in the face. But yeah, I have a lot of family members that boxed and did all that. So yeah, I'm gonna stick to wrestling. Wrestling's
the gridiron family. Yeah. So Jon, you guys had a remarkable this year. I mean, ended up third as a team in the state at 2A. Just crushing it along the way. You have a young team too that you can build on as well. Yeah. So tell us a little about this past year, and then what you see coming forward next season.
Well, I love this year because most people kind of doubted us a little bit. We started off not ranked. We lost some great kids. Joe Decker, Adam Lumenthal, Julian, Cole Crimebrang, guys like that who were essential in our team the year before. So they highly doubted us, which is fine. And we had these young kids, man, and I preached to them that you can find success today. You don't have to wait till you're junior. You don't have to wait till you're senior. You don't have to wait till you're upperclassmen. You got to do it now. I mean, there's no reason why you can't do it. We had some great additions to the team, being Aiden Morgan, Derek Bass is a freshman, Michael Macias, my nephew Parker Terronez. You never know how kids are going to transition from junior high to high school. And we were so pleased with Derek Bass and Michael Macias and some of the other freshmen that were picking up the slack here and competing at that level. Our big thing was trying to make sure that we peaked at the right time. So it's a learning process as a head coach, and I definitely learned from my first year to this year to make sure that we did peak at the right time, and I think we did. So it's been a great year. A lot of help along the way. So it was great to end third place. Obviously, everybody wants to be first place, and everybody, but I think we did exceptionally well. And I'm really, really hopeful for the future. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. Got sky's the limit with that group right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fun to watch, definitely. One of the things you said, which resonated with me, I've heard it we've maybe all seen on that Flow film, Terry, where he talks about being a freshman's not an excuse to lose, right? The time to win is now. I love that quote. And you had a couple freshmen who definitely.
I'm having a little bit of trouble with you, man. I didn't hear what you said. Sorry. Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So I was just saying how Terry Brand's quoted being a freshman's not an excuse to lose, and the time to win is now. And with Derek Bass and Michael Macias, I think that they definitely believe that. I mean, you could see that.
For sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think once they got a chance to compete against some quality competition, and they were right there with them. That was really the turning point where they had some confidence in moving forward. Say, hey, I can do it now. I can do it. I wrestled these really good guys. I mean, Macias wrestled Happel. And going through a couple of periods without score 0-0. I mean, that kid's a hammer and a stud, and Michael was right there with him, and it gives that sense of confidence and that expectation, and that's what we like to have at Assumption. We expect you to be at that level and to get to that level. So exactly what Terry said, man. Why wait? Come and get yours now.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your philosophy on off-season wrestling?
Well, I grew up wrestling freestyle Greco myself. Back in the day, it was champ builders. We had kids from all across the area. So when I came to Assumption, I wanted to kind of start something. So we had the Dark Knights Wrestling Club. We kind of absorbed a lot of kids from a lot of different schools in the area, and I think freestyle Greco is huge. You really learn your body. You learn your hips, you learn mat awareness, you learn positions better than you would be during the post-off season because of all the different rules and moves and stuff that you have in freestyle and Greco. I'm a huge proponent of off-season wrestling, but I do encourage kids to go off to other sports as well. I mean, wrestling's a grind, man, and you guys know it. It's a long season, so there's kids that we have that are great at other sports, and that's awesome, and that's fine. There's some that want to concentrate on wrestling, and that's fine too as well. But I always encourage after the season you get a little bit of a break just to kind of reset yourself. I mean, we had Seth Adrian, who's a multiple sport all-state guy, and that's fine. Here he is, and he doesn't do anything in the off season, and it comes and is highly placed in the state of Iowa. I mean, not every kid's going to be like that, but what your passion is okay. But if you're going to be great in wrestling, I could definitely use you as well. So, but I am a big, person that supports freestyle and Greco, and having that Dark Knights Wrestling Club is huge. So I think people get better. I mean, there's so many people that wrestle, 60, 70 matches in the off season. You're like, man, they got so much better from last year. Well, yeah, they're putting in a whole nother season, and that's why.
Yep.
I support it for sure.
So how has the sport of wrestling changed or evolved since you were a kid or wrestled?
I'll give you one word. Ben Askren. Or 2 words. Well, his name, Ben Askren. This guy right here, man. There's common core wrestling, you know, the stuff that we grew up on, positions, stance, motion, stuff like that. Ben Askren pretty much tore all that apart and added a whole segment of wrestling that was not there before. Just unorthodox positions you would call scrambling, but I would say it's skilled scrambling. And I think it's evolved greatly. I mean, you know, East until I don't remember seeing East until that much in high school when I was in high school. You know, some of these scrambles that they do, it's amazing. But it's great to see that the sport's still evolving. You know, it keeps you on your toes as a coach to keep improving your skills as a wrestler and as a coach, so you can teach these new things, these new skills. You know, it's exciting and challenging at the same time. So.
Yeah, for sure, it is exciting. Who is the toughest coach that you ever wrestled for, and why?
Man, Mark Schwab. There's no question. I would just spend a lot of time with him because I wanted to soak up as much as I could from him, and he's a remarkable person, man, a remarkable coach, and I've never met anybody quite like him. He helped me on a level that is beyond most comprehension, and just absorbing his mindset it's insane. And you know, he pushed me to every single limitation that I could ever even imagine. Even when I doubted myself, he definitely pushed me. I have him come talk to my team, talk about goals, match preparation, season preparation, just making sure that they're mentally ready for matches and for the season. Because, you know, wrestling is extremely physical. We all know that, but it's also mental. I always preach to the kids that when your mind gives up, your body still has between 65 and 70% left. So mind over matter is something that I learned from him, and definitely got to that point at the college level where I wanted to give up a million times, but I just kind of learned to numb it and keep going, and that's something that I try to preach to the kids I learned from him. So yeah, we bring him in, and he talks to our kids, and does some one-to-one stuff, and it gives us some paperwork, some stuff to do throughout the season.
So, John, what is the biggest obstacle you've had to overcome, either as a wrestler or a coach?
You know, as a wrestler, there's always that mental aspect, nerves, not looking at rankings, not looking at those other things. So, as a wrestler, I got a little bit nervous before matches, and kind of it numbed me a little bit. But once I got to college and Schwab, you know, he kind of instilled in me, who cares? Basically, like, you know, it's another human being. You know, they have 2 legs. They're not a machine. They have bad days. What do you have to lose? And it's like, you're right. I'm overthinking this. It's a mental aspect I learned, you know, from him that made me get through those things. You know, as a coach, it's a little bit of the same thing. It's more of a strategy. You know, developing the kids. You know, there's a million different types of kids. But I would say, you know, the nerves are a huge part of it. Making sure everything's where you want it to be as a head coach, because you have a lot of people under you, and you want everybody to succeed. And you know, when someone doesn't get that outcome that you want them to do, you feel personally accountable. But you know, that's something that I don't really share. So I want to get those guys out and doing the best thing. So it's a little bit of nerves, man. That's the biggest thing, I think. So
makes sense. I'll tell you, I know a little bit of what you mean. Every time I watch either one of my sons wrestle, even if it's
right?
something that maybe I've seen them pin that kid 10 times, it doesn't matter. I'm still nervous every single time.
Oh yeah, I've been told, like, hey, you look so relaxed down there. I'm like, man, if you knew what's going on in my mind, you know, You know, just all right. You know, when I'm down, if you watch me at the state tournament, I have rosters from the other teams. I have the records. I have all this stuff here prepared, and I'm matching back and forth. I'm like, all right, we should have won that one. This, or we you know, score should have been this, or we beat them by more than we were supposed to. And I'm you know, throughout the whole match, determining how we're going to do, you know, and what should I do? Should I move the next guy or whatever not? So that's part of the nerves too. I'm making sure I want to be where we're at, you know, and make sure that everybody is going to get the most out of the match and that we get the end result. So, you know, but I love it though. I really do. It gets me going. I get excited. I lose my voice usually, so you know, it's just a fun thing, man. I really enjoy it.
That's awesome. So you just finished up your second year as head coach at Assumption. Mm-hmm. Great results, but you did come in to fill some pretty big shoes from from Pete Bush in his sort of legacy. You've kept that winning tradition going. You know, solid results. We talked about state dual tournament this past year, 3rd, 5th last year. I mean, you're doing great. What have you done to help make the program your own?
Well, I mean, we have a great coaching staff. None of this that we have achieved is done by just me, by no means. We have, you know, I talked to most of the coaching staff before I applied and said, hey, you know, like, are you guys, I'm going to apply for this job. What do you guys think? You know, and I had the backing, which made it an easy transition. Okay, so, you know, I didn't have to make as many changes. You know, we had a lot of the same coaches as a couple, and I had a lot of support. So that made it, you know, extremely easy. I had, you know, Pete Bush as a mentor and a guy that I could talk to and learn from. You know, he's a phenomenal asset. So, you know, I asked him questions about certain things, but also trying to make it my own. So I had things that I wanted to achieve, things that, you know, styles that I wanted to do. I know everybody knows that Assumption's good on top. I learned that when kids normally should be choosing down to get the escapes, and they don't, and they choose top or neutral. So I'm like, wow, this is a real thing here. So my goal is to make a more well-rounded wrestler, good on the feet, good on bottom, but also keep it Pete's top game. So you know, Pete's been asked, it's been big shoes to fill, but I was very fortunate to be there for a year before as assistant, so I knew the kids, I knew, you know, everything about it, so the whole program, so it made it a little bit easier of a transition. But I had a lot of support, man, through you know, the families and through the administration. It makes it a lot easier, so you don't have anything really working against you. And some people might say, hey, you know, that's a lot of pressure, but or you can say, hey, it's already a great program. Why not take that and run with it, you know? And that's kind of what I try to do.
Good.
All right, John, I'm going to switch gears a little bit with you here right now. We all know Assumption, you guys are kind of leading the way, plowing the way for women's wrestling at this point in time. What are your thoughts and what are you doing to help with the growth of the sport in girls wrestling?
Well, when I got hired, you know, I've had my plan, you know, what I would want to do when I become a head coach anywhere. And I had, first thing I wanted to tackle was having a girls wrestling program. And another one was, I noticed with our kids club, I wanted to get that going strong, because if you don't have that nucleus, you know, you're in trouble for the next couple of years. So I tackled both those things, you know, and I had a lot of great people. One being Ben Jojen, who runs our kids club and oversees kind of all that stuff. He's an extreme asset. So what happened is I had talked to a guy named Jason Lloyd, who's involved in the girls wrestling scene, and you know, he was open to talk. So we talked, and he decided to come over here to Assumption, to the beautiful side, and we have a lot of similarities between me and him. And we had some mindset, you know, stuff that we talked about, and it's very similar. So I thought it was a great match. Until this day, it's a great match. So he came over here, and he had a lot of girls following him, so it was perfect. You know, I'm a big supporter of the girls wrestling, and people say, oh, it's the future. And that is correct, but it's right now. It's happening right now as we speak. So, you know, I've wrestled girls throughout the years, and it's been great. Why not? Why don't they have it? So having that, and they, you know, they won the Rising Knights girls won the AAU title the first year, and won it again this year. You know, we're going to be having our first Assumption girls wrestler next year in high school. You know, Sydney Park, she's, you know, already a 2-time state champion. So, you know, we're paving the way, and then we had the support of the administration, which is huge. They were one of the schools or one of the administrations that sent the letter off in support of sanctioning it. We are Iowa. I mean, we are the forefront of wrestling. We should have been the first state to sanction it, you know? So we aren't, but, you know, let's not get too far behind and get it done. I mean, it's happening. The numbers don't lie. They don't. You know, so it's a little frustrating to see that people are fighting a little bit, but I know it's a matter of time and it's going to happen. So we're ready. You know, our kids, we have quite, you know, 30, 40 girls that show up on a regular basis. So I'm extremely excited about it. And I love it. I coached this past year, I was at the Iron Sharpens Iron and coached a girls team. And it was the first time I ever coached a girls team, and it was awesome. Like, these girls were so vicious, man, and it was so awesome to see it. Like, you know, I grew up in a family of all boys, man, so I don't really I didn't have any nieces or any of that stuff, but man, it was the best time I've ever had coaching. You know, they're so vicious and so aggressive, and I loved it, man. So the future's bright for girls wrestling, man.
Yeah. I'll share that one of my favorite matches I've seen. I think it was posted on Facebook or something. The past few years was Tatum Park against Chloe Clemens.
Yeah,
that was one of the first girls matches. I was probably late to the game in a way. I just focus on my boys all the time, but I watched that match and I was like, oh my god, like that was as good of a battle as probably any boys match I've ever seen. I mean,
and physical as well, man. I watched that ending probably 30 times, and it could have gone either way. But it was amazing. They're both remarkable girls and remarkable wrestlers, man, and bright futures.
Yeah.
And both from the Quad City, so
yeah.
Well,
we are the hub.
Yeah. So on those lines, what do you think the next steps are to getting girls wrestling sanctioned in Iowa?
You know, I think every coach and every school needs to start advertising that wrestling for girls, and the numbers have, you know, doubled each year, and they've gone up more and more. And every school's got to get on board. I mean, you don't have to commit to anything now, and financially, it's not even a big hamper on anything. You might need to go to a couple tournaments. You have one wrestling room. You might need to buy some singles, but it's not that big of a financial challenge. So I think, you know, moving forward, people are questioning, well, I don't know how much it's going to grow. I'm like, you're going to see here pretty soon. But I think everybody needs to talk. Every coach needs to address it with their administration and their athletic directors and say, hey, this is growing. This is a growing sport in general, but girls wrestling, look at these numbers. These statistics don't lie. You can't argue with it. And I think that everybody needs to talk to their administration and say that. I mean, it's going to happen. You want to be late to the game, you know, or you want to be on time and start developing, because it's going to happen. You know, and girls deserve that opportunity to do that. So
that's great. You guys are incredible ambassadors of the sport and paving the way. So it's going to be exciting to see that next step. You know, where do we go with it? So Iowa, get on board. Let's sanction the girls, all right?
Let's do it.
All right, John. Now's the time. Sudden death, overtime questions. First takedown wins this, all right? All right, quick question. Here we go. Favorite wrestling movie?
Okay, so I have two. One's a documentary. It's called Pins. It's about St. Ed's in Ohio, and these brothers, they're highly touted programs. And these Palmer brothers from Ohio end up going to Ohio State, and one's in MMA, and it shows like all the stuff they go through, man, it's an intense movie. I think that everybody who wants to get to the higher level, I mean, that's pretty extreme, but this shows kind of what these parents do and these kids do to get to that next level. But I am a huge Vision Quest fan. Yeah, when when what's her name, Madonna sang that song. It's a great movie, man. And Matthew Modine and Shoot. I think Shoot goes around now and does like all these promos and stuff about because he was
He Shoot's on our podcast or is on our site, so hopefully he'll see this podcast and he'll give you a line.
He likes QCA wrestle, yeah. So shout out.
So I mean that's a classic. It's the original, man, and obviously there's some questionable wrestling interpretations of that movie, but man, it's a classic, man. And anytime people bring to light wrestling, I'm a fan of. So, but Vision Quest and Pin are my two favorites.
Yeah, those are good. Favorite superhero?
Man, I would have to say I really like the Flash.
Right. DC man.
And partly because I wasn't very fast, and I wish I was. I've just learned about him in the past couple of years, man. But Jesus, that'd be so cool to just be, everywhere, boom, 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 and you can do anything you want to do. And so I'm a huge fan of him.
Favorite wrestling match of all time?
Hey, Rob, I have one for you. Julian Broderson versus Griffin Little.
That was a good match.
That was a fun match.
Yes. I think Jay and I were talking about that for a week ahead of time. We were going through the rosters, and we're like, I don't think Assumption can beat Bettendorf as a team, but if they did this, how exciting would that be? And then you guys did it, and oh, man, that was awesome.
It was one of those things, and I wouldn't do it with any other wrestler, but I knew Julian wrestles his older brother, who's at 275 on a regular basis. I knew he could handle it. I think people knew about it. They kind of anticipated it at that point because we were like, "Oh, I had a freshman heavyweight warmed up with a singlet and like rubbing his shoulders like he's going to go out there." He's like, "Hey, can I get a varsity letter for this?" I was like, no, man, but, we'll do something for you, buddy.
Yeah.
But it was fun because I knew, we were a little outmatched in that duel, but I wanted to make it a little bit exciting. And I think it was. And a funny story, and I had heard, the rumor mill that this year was like, Griffin was like, are you looking to bump Adrian up to wrestle me?
Oh.
And I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We don't need to do that. Yeah, you guys have a great 220 pounder already, and we don't need to do that. But it was fun, man. And that being one of them, and Jordan Burroughs and Kyle Bake. Anytime these guys wrestled, it was exciting, and you see two exceptional wrestlers, push themselves. So those are two of the great matches that I think.
Yeah, I like both of those answers. Yeah. Favorite food?
I'm a big pasta guy, man. So, anything that has noodles in it. So I'm a huge fan of those complex carbs, man. As long as I get a good workout in, I'm good. But anything my mom makes is good, and then and my girlfriend too. They're both very good cooks. So obviously I'm not hurting for weight. So I eat pretty good.
All right. How about the greatest U.S. Olympic wrestler of all time?
There's a lot of great wrestlers, and in our period, there's even some not from the USA. But one of my favorites, who kind of people don't really talk about, Bruce Baumgartner.
There you go.
Won 4 medals. I mean, he was a huge part. And I think he's currently involved with USA Wrestling. I think he might be the president. I'm not sure, but. Watching him wrestle, he's a big guy. I'm a big guy. Seeing him move and do those things and be successful over a long period of time, it's huge. We know, his I think success got a little bit shadowed by your Ulan Gardners, stuff that's going on now. But he's one of the best. He's one of the best all time. And if you look at credentials and results from the World Championships, to the Olympics, to Pan Ams and all that other stuff. So, John Smith and Dan Gable obviously are great ones too. But I think Bruce Baumgartner is just a little bit a step ahead as far as credentials.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Hey, what's your favorite wrestling style?
I'm a Greco guy, man.
Okay.
I am. I have chicken legs. You can't tell on camera, but I do have chicken legs, so I was very good at picking up upper body and using that. So, but as a coach, you got to teach everything. So, but my style personally is more of a Greco style, and I had the most success in that style. The United States is the only country that does folk style. So, I think we should probably address some of that. But Greco's my style.
All right. How about favorite football team?
Bears, man.
Bears.
Monsters of the Midway. They disappoint me quite often, but we keep holding on to the 85 Bears. But it's a great time up there, and I've always been a fan of the Bears. They're the closest team to us and the closest place to go watch a game. So it's kind of how I learned to be a fan of them. So. Sure.
Fishing or golf?
Man, I'm a horrible golfer. And the thing with being a wrestling coach in wrestling, we always have to have golf outing. And
Sure.
being in business, you always have to go to golf outing. And that's where business happens on the golf course. I'm terrible. I enjoy going out there and partaking, but I am a fisherman. I love fishing. It's extremely relaxing, and I enjoy just spending time out there in nature and being able to be one with the earth and be able to fish. Man, fishing is fun. I've been able to do some deep sea fishing and fishing along the coastlines, and it's a blast, man. I really love it.
Awesome.
An opportunity. All right, we'll wrap up. Last question here. Favorite quote of all times, John?
So I like the Dan Gable quote. Once you've wrestled, everything else in life is easy. To bank off of that, obviously we know that there's challenging things in life and not everything's easy. But I preach to the kids that, I go through stuff as an adult. I go through bosses I didn't like, job situations I didn't like, life situations I didn't like. But I also think about the college practices, the 2-a-days, the weight cutting. I go, man, this is all easier than wrestling practice, so I'm going to be okay. I've already been through the worst. So, and that's kind of how to relate to them. Yeah, you guys are going through some stuff now with practice. It's hard, but in life you're going to go through things that are tough, but you've also been the mat to where you're crawling off the mat, you're exhausted, you're mentally tired, you're emotionally tired. That's much harder. So that's when I love that quote, and I think it applies to life and wrestling in general. So.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Totally agree. John, I want to thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. We look forward to continuing to follow Assumption and you guys' progress, and keep up the great work. Hope to talk again soon.
Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Please share this podcast with your friends. Give us a like and a follow on Facebook and Twitter at QCA Wrestle. And keep an eye out for more QCA wrestling content coming soon.